What's going on, Perry? How you doing, man?
Not much. I was listening to Africans, and now I'm killing flies.
It's hot as shit out here, dude.
It is hot. It is hot. That is global warming you're experiencing. And if you think it's hot now, wait 5 years.
Okay.
Feels like fucking
Be like this in November.
Southern California right now.
Be like this in November in 5 years. Right? And
Right.
summer will be a time you cannot go outdoors. You have to find a place to be, and you stay there until the sun goes down a bit.
Yeah.
Haven't you ever watched any of these Twilight Zones? They all have that story. Like the one Twilight Zone where the girl is, it's very hot, fucking sun's in there, people are fucking thirsty, and what's going on is the earth is spiraling in towards the sun. And it started like a few months back, but now people are feeling it. You know, it's like 150 in the day, and there's a point where she's trying to get some sleep.
I'm listening. Let me see that tattoo.
She,
bro.
huh?
That tattoo.
What tattoo?
I'm listening to what you're
Oh,
saying.
Freaks with Beaks. She's trying to get some sleep, and
Beaks with beaks.
and she wakes up, and when she
What's up,
wakes
Billy?
up, she's under big heavy covers, and the room is like minus 50, and she's blowing out cold air. And what's really happening is the sun, the earth is moving away from the sun, not towards us.
Yeah.
What you doing there?
How you doing, man?
I'm doing
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
okay for a 90-degree day.
Yeah, no, it's been hot. I was working outside in the sun.
Very hot.
I took some sun in today.
You working?
Ah, look at that! Another one of the little children I watched grow up, getting a job and working.
What's up, guys? Good, good, good. Also,
There you go.
no, it's definitely working.
I work for a
There's so many rich people here who need shit done at their house, so that's how you make money. Because they need carpentry, landscaping, just cleanup, just like all kinds of stuff done. Affluent people, there's not enough.
Well, go do that and bring me $25.
I just did it all day, actually.
Well, then you got money on it.
I do.
We'll get me fish and chips.
I'd love to get.
asking, right?
I'd love to get.
I'll beat your ass on camera without asking. No. But
I'd love to get.
you insecure motherfucker.
motherfucker.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
$20 meal.
Perry, question, man. So the David Peel stuff, like, people keep bringing it up to me. Like, Dose Man brought it up to me about how he had influence on Lennon musically and shit like that. And I'm trying to just figure out how this works. I'm not that familiar with David Peel's.
Well, like, you know, David wasn't a fool. He wasn't like the master musician that you would consider John Lennon.
Yeah.
John was a pretty good musician. But what he liked about Peel was the rawness of the situation. It was raw. Okay? And Peel was good at moving the crowd. You know what I mean? He could talk to the crowd and get them to do shit. A lot of fun, that guy.
Like, I don't know, Dose Man was saying that, like, Lennon thought the New York scene was, like, almost kind of like there was a bunch of characters or a bunch of people that had, like, kind of a different, like, angle.
Like, Lennon wanted to get involved with some of the underculture that was in New York at the time, and what he saw in Peel was a mouthpiece. He could have Peel say the things that he wanted to say.
He was channeling through Peel's, you're saying?
Channeling through Peel.
Oh, man.
Like, we would get to a gig, and, you know, John Lennon in tow with us, you know, and they'd all run over to John, and John would say to them, "Stop. No interview, no none of this shit. Listen, I'm here as a side man. I'm in Peel's band. You want to talk? Talk to Peel." And And then Peel would just like rip them new assholes.
Yeah.
Or whatever was on the bandwagon of the day. That Peel was a bandwagoner. It's like whatever was new and happening at that moment, he could write a little ditty around it and not afraid to go out in the street and play it.
Perry, you think we'd have good chemistry as musicians if we jammed?
Probably did.
It's funny how like we become friends and it's like we haven't even jammed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's because the musicianship is there. I see that you're trying to do something, so I encourage it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Why would I've had a few people in my time that have done that for me.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes with just a single, not a single word certainly, but a single idea put in my head, or a single critique of me.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, oh wow, yeah, you're right. I'm not doing what I should be doing. I'm doing something else. You're right. You know, and then you make adjustments.
Yeah. Like, you think, so the last like 10 years, there's been a lot of people from New York that's moved to Philly. And I kind of feel like there's been a lot of people from down there who's been traveling up here. It's like, what, like when that happens, like has there been that kind of stuff in the past that has happened often?
I don't know.
Talent exchange
I don't
almost?
know anybody who moved to Philly. But I'm guessing, people might want to.
COVID-19.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, Philadelphia is certainly a city, but it's a lot smaller a city and more manageable to some people than New York.
Yeah, a little cheaper.
It's not quite as intense as New York, I would think.
Yeah. It's starting to feel like New York, and like the way the vibe is. It's weird.
Again, that's a natural thing that happens with people who are spending money on police forces and getting police forces to do certain things, and the general gist of how of the street feel. You know what I mean?
Well, Philly's always been a cop town, with Rizzo and all that.
Imagine Philly's not even the capital, right?
No, Harrisburg,
No, see that?
but oldest capital.
Like I lived in Albany for a while. Albany, police are pretty militant.
Yeah.
And, they don't want nothing fucking up the state capital.
Yeah.
I agree.
Try to think what else. So like the scene musically, you were coming up what, 60s, 70s?
Yeah, well, I was, but by the time 69, 70 rolled around, I had a little handle on what I was doing with the drum.
Yeah.
I had seen bunches of people, and how they was pretty good at copying what they're doing.
Yeah.
That's basically how I learned it. I went and watched you, and then I tried to copy it.
Yeah.
But that led me away from the thing that most people do, which is do all the rudiments, get the buzz roll down, get the 5-stroke, the 3-stroke, the 7-stroke, all those different marching things that you learn first, and then you expand it into the kit. But I know people, a friend of mine, Andrew, that you put that music there like this, and he's playing drums. No matter how fast it is, what it is, he's move the page and keep playing.
Yeah.
Just play like that. And what he's doing is he's reading what's on the page. And everything he plays on the drums is exactly what's on the page.
To jump subjects here, like what was around before SNL when that shit started getting real hot? Like, cause like.
Well, there was nothing like it before.
So like how they were innovators then.
There was the Tonight Show, but before stuff like that started, we used to have movies at night.
Maybe Ed Sullivan.
Well, the variety show was Ed Sullivan, but he's talking about late night, like how Saturday Night Live is. It's late night,
But they were kind of mimicking some of the older actors, right? I mean, they were obviously inspired and trained.
They could.
Yeah.
Could do things like that because the old actors were still alive.
Yeah.
You know, that's how you get eventually like not Henny Youngman, but the other guy. Oh, take my wife, please. You know, that guy. Actually hosting Saturday Night Live. Rodney Dangerfield.
I forgot who that was.
Rodney
Yeah.
Dangerfield. By the time they found Rodney Dangerfield, Rodney Dangerfield already had 2 fucking careers in comedy. You know what I mean? He already been in fucking comedy 40 years before Saturday Night Live fucking got going. Right? He told 1 million jokes already. So when they found him, they were like, "Oh, this is a natural. We show him on stage and just let him go."
I'm laughing right now, man.
And then they made a whole bunch of films with Rodney. Remember? He had resurgence. You know?
Yeah, dude was fucking hysterical, man.
No, Rodney.
In hindsight, I didn't like when I was a kid. He was a little older,
Rodney was fucking great.
a little wild, but
Rodney was great, but you know.
so Chevy.
Rodney was doing everything the hippies were doing, except that, you know, I don't know if he was tripping, but he was definitely getting high.
It's on something.
So
Rodney was
Record him, man.
yeah, I know, it's right. It's like
Serious, we're gonna get this shit on YouTube, man. This town can generate interest. We can all make money and just sit and collect it by generating interest on YouTube.
I'm with you, homie.
The
Right.
linked Woodstock YouTube channel. We all link them together.
Yeah.
How we just have Woodstock in the name. We agree between ourselves.
Woodstock.
We're together.
I got you, homie.
All right.
Yeah, I'm with you.
All right. I got a fucking phone with like the best camera. It's got 4 cameras on it. I can take cameras probably as good as that thing you have. I can take this video.
Yo, Perry. Okay, so I'm just trying to understand. So Saturday Night Live kind of came out of the woodwork then, right? Like came out of nowhere.
No, Saturday Night Live. It was the natural evolution of a printed word vehicle. Okay, so the original printed word vehicle that Saturday Night Live comes from is Harvard Lampoon. This was a magazine that was released by Harvard College. It was a comedy magazine. Then it became the National Lampoon. And that's when a company came and published them. Gave them money.
Yep.
Pulled these guys out of the fucking college. They were gone from college already. But they pulled a certain amount of guys that were working on the old Harvard Lampoon. They got them to work on National Lampoon.
Yeah.
Right? Then eventually, National Lampoon stayed in business for a while. And then in 73, 74, something like that, is when Saturday Night Live first came out. And a lot of the guys who wrote for that show were writers of this magazine, National Lampoon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything you want to say about Cheech and Chong on here, man? Just to kind of get a little lineage for the stoners that are still doing it.
Except that, you know, they originally came down to the States to do rock and roll, and then they ended up being funnier than the rock band.
Yeah. I like some of their tunes. And then they would sell the albums with like the rolling paper, right? The vinyl. Weren't they the first ones
Oh,
to
well, no, that Cheech and Chong, Big Bamboo, was their album. Right, and it looked like a big rolling paper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And was Up in Smoke their first big one, or is that's later, right?
Oh wow, I don't know.
Because I know.
That's a while. You know, they came out sort of like, you know, sort of like the hippy dippy weatherman. You know, what's his name? Is it 7 Deadly Words?
Oh, Carlin.
Carlin.
That's
right.
my man.
They sort of came about.
Sorry, Zach.
They were sort of like a West Coast Carlin, right? And what Cheech and Chong did was they picked 2 street characters. Okay, so of course Cheech Marin, he stayed the Chicano. You know, the Chicano who lives in the white neighborhood. He's cool, but you know, he's still a Chicano. Can't trust him. You know. And then the dumb hippie who he's out of high school. He could have went to college, but he didn't. He just smoke pot instead. And you know, he's like, you know, there's a lot of funny scenes in their films.
Well, here's one for you, because I remember, you know, I was young watching a lot of these movies, and I would watch some of the 70s movies, even though I'm an 80s baby, and I would see how the women dressed in the 70s and how the women were embracing, you know, they were on another level of hotness in the 70s as far as like some of these actresses.
Yeah, but you got to understand that that's also a, you know, an exaggeration for the movie.
Right. Like, it wasn't like that.
Really? You're doing the fucking MASH? He's doing the MASH theme.
You gonna go ahead there? I'm with it if you do. I mean, so yeah, so the 70s actresses, you know, were stunting a little bit. They were getting a little flashy on camera or whatever you're saying.
Like there used to be a show on called The Mod Squad. All right, so the basic premise of that is three young kids who got in trouble, but instead of putting them in jail, they got offered, listen, you know, you join us and you work like teenage stuff for us, and you know, you won't go to jail, you make money, and we'll keep you out of jail. You know, you become a
Mod
cop.
Squad.
Mod Squad. It had, if you've ever seen that movie, which is like the black kids meet vampires in the hood.
What, Tales from the Hood?
Tales from the Hood.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the guy who's running the funeral home in that.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's Clarence Williams III.
Right.
And he was the black guy with the afro in that show, Mod.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Yeah, he's been around.
He's been around.
I think he died, didn't he?
He might be dead now.
I think he died recently.
And then when I was doing limos, I didn't catch it right away because her name was on the receipt. But I pick up this woman somewhere on fucking Canal Street somewhere. They're going out to the airport to get a plane, and the woman got in the car, and I was like, "Oh my!" And she looked at me, and I said, "You're her, aren't you?" And she went, "Yeah, that's me." Peggy Lipton was the woman, was the girl. Very hot for those days.
Perry Lipton.
Peggy Lipton.
Peggy Lipton.
Peggy Lipton. And she played the hip chickie. You know, the hip chickie. Mod Squad.
Now, okay, here's a weird one for you, Perry. That's not getting a little giddy, man.
Every one of them is a weird one to me.
The Brady Bunch.
Ah, Brady.
Now, we grew up watching that shit years later. Now,
I never watched the Brady Bunch.
Well, I mean, you know, we had all that good TV sitcoms in the 80s and 90s.
Well, yeah, you had
and the
Happy
reruns.
Days, you had all that shit too.
Yeah, but
You had Shlomo Shlomazel. What the fuck was that name?
salute your shorts. Now, so I'm just trying to understand with that, like, all right, so like Jan, she went off and like the middle sister. Do you know what I'm talking about? Eve
right.
Plum.
The one who goes, Marsha.
Right, Marsha. So she went off.
Jan was very good, actually really fucking good in that particular role.
Yeah.
Because she played the middle sister.
Well, yeah.
The middle kid well.
Yeah.
Because the middle kid is always fucking confused.
Yeah.
The older kid is always doing great, and the little kid is always being forgiven.
Right.
The middle kid gets the brunt.
Right. But my question is like she went like indie and was doing these weird ass movies. Like I've seen them. Now I've always liked when people branch off and do these really obscure, fucked up movies. But like, what I don't understand is like, okay, if she did that, what did Marsha do? Like, what was she doing around that time, movie-wise?
What Marsha did.
Marsha. What was her name?
Okay.
Marsha.
No, what was her real name?
I don't know.
I forget it
So
too.
you remember? Do you remember? What you talking about, Willis?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course.
So that had the little guy in it,
Yeah.
right?
Was it Gary or was it?
Gary Coleman.
Was it him or was it look like somebody that looks like Gary?
Coleman.
Okay.
And then it had Todd Bridges, okay, who went through a lot of shit. Todd Bridges.
Yeah, the dad, right?
And then it had
Dynamite.
Dana Plato, the girl.
Oh, shit.
Dana Plato. She was white, remember? And Conrad Bain. Okay. So we know what happened to Gary Coleman because he stayed a celebrity to the day he died.
Yeah.
And he was always on TV. He still was on making appearances.
Yeah.
Todd Bridges, well, he had a little drug problem, went to jail a little ways, and so he's become like one of the bad boys of that sitcom era. Because there were a lot of bad boys in that sitcom era. And her, Dana Plato, yeah, well, Dana Plato, unfortunately, she got into porno. And then she died mysteriously. So, and Conrad Bain, I'm not exactly sure, but he might be one of those guys who became a crackhead. Like the guy in Alf. Remember Alf?
Yeah.
Okay, so you remember the puppet, but you remember the guy who was the Family Guy?
It's been a while, man.
You know, thin guy, balding, had glasses. Oh, he turned into like Mr. Crack. Yeah, really bad. Lost everything he ever made. You know, he turned into Mr. Crack. And of course, Alf is still around.
All right, so I got to ask you this then, all right?
Yes, ask me.
All right, so obviously Charlie Sheen, Emilio Estevez, they had a pretty good run, and
They were fucking all kinds of guys in the ass. They were running all right.
I don't know about Emilio, but I mean, but look, I'm a fan of Charlie Sheen's work. I don't know about his lifestyle, but like, all right, so like,
Well, you know he's a fucking maniac, just like the other, like that fucking, one of the Baldwin brothers is all like Mr. Crack. You know? That's
One
the
of the
thing
Baldwin-
with Charlie Sheen is that you don't give a fuck what he's doing. He's not his father. He doesn't have to. He doesn't
that's
have
what I was
to-
gonna ask you about Martin Sheen, like how, like,
Oh well. Okay.
what was his run like?
All right. So, Martin Sheen's first movie is a movie shot in the Bronx on the 3rd Avenue L when it was still around, called The Incident, and it has Martin Sheen. Can't think of the other guy. Oh, Tony Musante. Okay, Tony Musante. Those are the two bad guys. On the train is basically they following these people on a train going home, real late at night on a weekend. And these two thugs get on the train and start terrorizing these people. This is one of the few movies that you'll see. Who was the guy who was Johnny Carson's sidekick?
Couldn't tell you.
Here's Johnny. I said that. Ed McMahon.
Oh, okay, all right.
Okay, so Ed McMahon is in this movie, right? It's also the first movie for who's the young Bridges? Who's the young Bridges? There's Todd Bridges, right?
Jeff Bridges.
Jeff Bridges and Todd Bridges, right?
I don't know Todd.
Oh no, there's a younger brother, Todd Bridges. And this movie is also Todd Bridges' first movie. And that's what they do. These two guys, Martin Sheen and Tony Musante, they get on the train real late at night. The car is full of people. There's a bum in the car, sleeping on the bench.
Yeah.
And they come in, they start fucking with the bum. Somebody comes along and says, hey, leave the fucking bum alone. And they come over to them and start doing them. Hey! They start saying hello to him. You know, they start bothering this guy who said, hey, leave the bum alone. And they go through this whole fucking deal where there's a guy who's not sure of, is he gay, is he not gay? No, I'm not lying to you.
I know, but you always talk about
This
this
is one of the
shit.
characters that's on the train.
Yeah.
There's an old Jewish couple that are arguing. There's a black couple that are arguing. Okay, and I forget who the girl is, but the black guy who's in this movie, was on Star Trek twice. He played a black spaceman twice.
But like, so Martin Sheen had a nice run as an actor, obviously, because I mean, it seems like he paved the way.
He worked hard at it. Another guy that I followed, I didn't know it until later though, but I followed him, was the guy who's in, I want to say Lonesome Dove, but it's not Lonesome Dove. He just did a HBO, was it HBO or the movie channel, like, you know, not Turner movie, but the other one, where he plays a guy who's like on the open range. That's the name of it, I think, called Open Range. And it's Robert.
I have a question. I have to ask this.
Robert Duvall.
I'm kind of cracking up over here. Like, you really think Charlie Sheen was like on some other shit, or I mean, because like he's one of them guys. Like his work. I mean, he's a good actor. And
So
then
you're saying now, Charlie Sheen fucked Corey Haim?
that's what Feldman said.
Aren't they like the same age?
Sheen might have been about 5 years older.
Oh, so he was like a rapist.
Yeah. That's the accusations, but
Fucked up.
the weird part about it is like, okay, like mid 80s, all right?
Yeah.
Mid to late 80s. All them guys were on top. Sheen, Feldman, Corey Haim, you know, who else? John Candy. I mean, across town, John Candy.
Yeah, well, there was also like the Breakfast Club crew.
Right.
All
Emilio,
those guys.
Molly Ringwald. That
Yeah.
fucking weird dude, Jed fucking whatever, Nelson or whatever his name is. Judd Nelson. I mean, Anthony Michael Hall's the fucking man, if you ask me. I mean, that dude's a fucking... See, that's what I mean. These guys are more grown as kids than they are as adults. When you see Anthony Michael Hall now, he's just a normal motherfucker. But back then, he was like an old soul or something like
Yeah,
that.
but no, he was trying to play a character there. Because Anthony
Right.
Michael Hall eventually got into some pot movies and stuff too.
Yeah.
Whereas like Molly Ringwald didn't. She went into like
Right.
legitimate movies.
And I think that this is what I'm trying to get to, is like the counterculture of television. Like Anthony Michael Hall was pretty good with that in that era. Even though it was...
happened to, I always have to go back to Doogie Howser.
Oh, man. I haven't heard that name in a while.
How do you go from Doogie Howser, MD, to the Angry Inch? You know that? Hedwig?
Yeah, he got some. He was catching shit early on from.
Hedwig, he plays a guy in this play. He plays a guy who tried to become a woman, but the thing went wrong and he was left with a 1-inch penis with no head on it.
This is a movie.
It's a story. And they made a movie out of it. It's called Hedwig and the Angry Inch.
I didn't know about that.
And fucking Doogie Howser is fucking great in it.
Wow.
Great. Okay? Great.
I'm trying to remember what he got shit for, but he was catching a lot of heat, and I can't remember what it was for. Not that it really fucking matters, but maybe it does matter. I don't know.
After Doogie Howser, he became one of these guys who, like, fills a chair at the award ceremonies. So he was always on the red carpet, and he was doing stupid shit. He was, just because he looked like Doogie Howser and was playing the fucking like.
Yeah, I think it might have been on some like dickhead shit.
Like a guy who was, years ahead, and he was already a doctor. He was only 17. He was a doctor. Well, yeah, but the actual actor. Well, the actual actor was a little fuck up.
Yeah, it was like
Okay.
something like that.
So he was the guy who was going to like the Viper Club, and getting fucked up and crashing cars and doing that, You know, those guys went through all of that. Judge Reinhold.
Viper Club.
Breakfast Club.
Viper Club.
Viper Club.
Club, Judge Reinhold.
Oh man, there's a deer over there.
Yeah, they come out every night.
I don't know if they could see it out there in YouTube land, but there's deer in the parking lot.
If it gets close enough, I won't have to go in. I can eat that deer. I wrestle it to the ground. Wrestle it to the ground. Bring out me knife.
Try to
You
think what
got
else.
much deer in Philly?
Oh yeah, a lot of them.
We're,
Really?
Yeah, a lot of them.
West
Everywhere.
West of the city where we're from.
Yeah. We're literally 5 minutes out of Philly in
We're like 8 miles.
kind of like an area like this. Kind of like there's a lot of nature, not as much. It's like it's weird. It's similar but different.
Part of the
Yeah,
Welsh track, the main line, so it's it's nice.
It's more manicured, you're saying, maybe? It's got a lot of trees
Like, you
and
know-
everything, but it's all manicured. It isn't like just wild fields of trees.
No,
It's just not really a mountain range. So it's like you guys just have a lot
Well, no,
more.
it's flat, but I understand that.
Yeah, but the nature's good.
But the nature, well, nature's good all over.
it's
Yeah.
another valley. It ain't country. It's in between country and city.
Yeah.
Yes, it's just normal suburb,
The
right?
suburb.
Yeah.
Normal
That's what a
suburbs.
suburb was about. That's what they tried to do with a suburb, but they put the suburb
Yeah, it's coming over.
close enough to the city
All in valleys,
that
right?
people could make it to the city and live a city life, and yet at the end of the day they could go home in this nice little country area where their dog can bay at the moon.
I called him yesterday and it stopped to listen to me.
Really? How big was it?
Close. He was like up on a hill just a little bit above me. I said, hi, Bear.
How big was it?
It was like he wasn't a big one, but he was walking upright and he was like a chubby, medium-sized black bear.
Yeah, black bear. Yeah, I saw one down Bearsville, and it was probably about 800 pounds or more.
Well, I mean, they can get to be really big, but this was, I was looking at, let's say, well, there's the deer. Let's say I was standing right here next to my house, and there's property, woods behind me that I have.
Yeah.
And it was just walking up the hill, but when I called out to it, it stopped and looked at me. But I thought we shouldn't be like, we weren't meant to be friends.
Yeah, be careful.
I have a 5-foot black thing with a deer.
Have a good day, all right? How are you doing, Miss Deer? Hey. It's okay.